General Motors' massive cover-up, shining a light on a decade's worth of warning signs. Signs recognized by people far outside the company. From a Wisconsin trooper to the University of Indiana's Transportation Center back in 2007, both of them linking switches to faulty airbags. Now, deep inside the company, investigations show that even high-ranking officials were all too aware of the serious flaws, despite GM denials, like current Vice President Doug Parks, who oversaw the Cobalt and Ion at the time. Tonight, we hear a first-hand account from a whistleblower fired from GM, former manager Bill McAleer, and also here to weigh in is automotive expert Lauren Fix. Welcome to you both. A pleasure to have you both here. Bill, I'll start with you. Explain first what you did for a living at GM. What was your job?
I ran the Global Delivery Survey, which was a broad survey of General Motors vehicles for quality and reliability issues after they had been shipped and they were in the transportation system around the country.
And when did you start noticing defects?
We went from a static check on the vehicle to a dynamic check, and in '96 we were ramped up to actually drive the cars over a small obstacle course, and as soon as we started doing that, we started seeing serious defects on the cars.
Some of the defects go right ahead.
In '96 and '97 they were quite apparent.
Some of the defects you've mentioned: fasteners, tie rods, fuel leaks, many problems. Did you see the problem with the ignition switch?
No, we didn't see that. These cars would have been prior to that.
So your story is really about how GM didn't want to hear about this. You told them that there were problems. How did they respond?
Well, the problem was that we didn't have the correct checks in place, that when a safety item came up, whether it was an ignition switch or a fuel leak, that it would be stopped from leaving our possession. And those stops had been eroded over time to the point where cars that were grossly unfit for commerce were being released to the public.
But you told the company about this, right? I mean, you told the company multiple times, and I've got your smoking gun memo right here.
Yes.
You sent the letters to every member of the board. Did they respond?
No.
No response.
And I don't know that they ever got it.
But you never heard from anybody. Lauren Fix, I'm going to turn to you. You're very familiar with the GM story. You spent a lot of time with it. You know the company inside, you know the company outside. Does any of this surprise you, what Bill's saying tonight?
At that time, it was all about sales and publicity. It was all about getting back on track, and there were silos. It was totally different silo if you were in the sales and marketing department. It was a totally different silo if you were in engineering. And what Bill is saying was true for the time. And there are still a lot of things that are not uncovered, that were slowly leaking out. As you see, they're not dumping all the recalls at once. They're doing a little at a time, and some may never get recalled. And these are all because of the expense. But if you really look at the bigger picture, it costs so much less to just do it right the first time.
The switch is under $1.
Right. If they had just spent that little extra bit of money, there would be no deaths, there'd be no problems, there wouldn't be a PR nightmare for them to work through, and we wouldn't even be having this show.
I want to tell our viewers and mention this, Bill, because we didn't get a chance to do it in the interview here, is that you have sued GM in the past. You and GM have been somewhat contentious, and you've also tried to alert the world to a lot of problems at that company. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Bill. Laura's going to join us later in the show with some vital information for consumers, confused about GM and people who want help. Now, you may have noticed there's a voice missing from our show tonight, and that is GM's. We've reached out to the automaker many times, but GM has refused to provide us with somebody to state their case. Once again, we've tried to get them on the show, but they have decided not to appear.